Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of The Wellness Show. I'm your host, Lisa Anderson. Today's show does include, this is going to be interesting, our Q&A. Candace is going to join me for a little chat with a woman who is wondering if she should kiss or not kiss. There's a little bit of a conflict within her relationship as to what the expectations were for that and how should they kind of hold the line. So we'll be talking about that. We're opening up this week's inbox and I have Candace in the studio. Hey.
Hi, Lisa.
Great to have you here.
It's always a pleasure.
You have a fun skirt on.
Oh, you're the third person to say that.
I know,
Thanks.
well,
I must wear it more often.
Not as fun as my Target hoodie, but whatever.
Not as fun as your Sesame Street t-shirt.
Oh, I know. I'm just keeping it real because I'm getting ready to jet out of here, as we've already heard on this show. Okay. We're going to answer a question for a young woman here who apparently has a question about kissing.
Okay.
So,
I am an expert on kissing.
Too bad this isn't a webcast this time because we could have a demo from you and Steve.
Oh, yeah. That probably would be.
Next
the
time,
censors would pull that one.
Next time, folks, write in and request it and we'll get it done. Okay. The censors. Okay. She says, your articles have been very helpful to me. Partially because of them, I've resolved to save my first kiss for at least engagement, if not marriage. The tricky part comes now that I might finally have to enforce that belief. I've just started a relationship with a Christian guy. He has different ideas about kissing than I do, although he understands and will not pressure me for a kiss. He's expressed concern that without this physical side of the relationship, we'll be stuck in the friend zone instead of progressing in the relationship. I can see why he's concerned, but at the same time, a friendship is different than a dating relationship, is it not? I want to keep this relationship pure before God, but also don't want to be just friends. Do you have any advice or articles I've missed about this subject?
Isn't it amazing how the desires can conflict with the beliefs once you fall in love? I mean, I lived that with Steve. I was always of the mindset that you save as much as possible for the wedding and following. And then I fell in love and it was like, whoa, that's what hormones are. I just have to say, I think it's great that you're going into the relationship with this standard because the biblical goal is absolute purity. That said, it's not a goal you can reach in your own strength. This really is an area where you're going to have to be plugging in to the Lord, asking him to give you help and wisdom, but also having realistic understanding of human nature. And so that means you've got to have good boundaries in place and decide now before the hormones kick in, okay, when can we be alone? Where can we be alone? Can we be alone? I think that it concerns me a little bit that you say he's not going to pressure you, but he's concerned that if you don't get physical, you won't be able to move beyond just friends. That really is the modern dating mindset, that without a little bit of experimentation in the sexual realm, you can't possibly know if you're passionate. But, for centuries, people really did restrain. They really did hold the line and in most cases, saved sexual expression, physical expression for marriage. But that said, it was almost always the woman who really helped hold that line and who said, no, I'm going to protect my purity. And the man went along. And so you just have to make the decision. You have to decide what your standards are, what you think is right within what God has revealed in his word and what he's convicting you of in your spirit. I like the idea of saving the first kiss for engagement. I know some people are not quite as conservative and some are more conservative. I think it's nice to have something that is a physical expression of, hey, we've moved from just dating to now we're engaged. And so I think that's a really good idea. I would just say, in addition to praying about this, you've got to be of one mind with the guy. So he says he's going to respect you. So let's just move forward with that and see if he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what are some ways then, Candace? I think it's more of a, like you said, you're concerned with him saying that they can't move beyond the friend zone without kissing. Right. What are some ways that you can show, that you're in a relationship and, especially if you're going to move towards engagement, right. You're pretty much saying this is a courtship that will differentiate that without crossing any lines.
Right. Well, I think it's important to say passion can bloom and grow even in the absence of physical expression because it's something you're feeling. It's not necessarily something you're acting on. The desire to express yourself physically isn't diminished by a lack of acting on it. Mm-hmm. And so I think just the way you interact with one another, you know when you treat someone differently than you treat everybody else. And that's going to be the case more and more as you move toward marriage. And I would say, she asked, do you have any books or articles to recommend? Scott Croft's Biblical Dating series is excellent because he does talk about how your relationship will look different at each phase, including how your conversations will change once you're engaged and how things will get more romantic and more intimate. But he especially is still very clear about saving physical expression for marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That is good. All right. Well, thanks, Candace, for weighing in on that.
Hey, you're welcome.
That's very good. So, yeah, do check out those articles, the Scott Croft stuff. And I think we've had a couple blogs on that in the past. You could probably do a search on kissing. I think we've addressed the different levels of that and the whole on-ramp to the freeway and all that stuff that we hear. Whoa. Okay. Women are always told guys really are attracted to a woman who kind of knows what she's doing with her life, who's out there, who's involved in her church, in her community, who kind of has a life, who isn't sitting at home every night, with a movie and a box of tissues. I think that's true for men as well. Like when a woman sees a guy who's like, you know what, I'm interested in marriage, I'm going to pursue marriage, I'm on that path. But in the meantime, I'm a member of my church, I'm serving my church, I'm moving up in my career, I'm not sitting around waiting for someone to direct me or tell me. That's a good evidence, I think, of that confidence. We had a discussion 2 weeks ago with the guys on what I called confident versus creepy, kind of asking them, okay, when guys try to pursue, then sometimes the women are like, guys don't pursue. And then when they do, they're like, oh, that's too much. And so guys are like, what in the world? How can we win? And so we talked with Glenn Stanton and a couple resident guys here about their impressions of that and what they feel women are looking for or just their questions surrounding that. So it sparked quite a little discussion on the blog related to that because one guy, Joe, basically was like, look, he said, in fact, I'll read an excerpt from his first comment. He said, I'm pretty skeptical of the idea that women want to feel secure or taken care of by men because they sure don't broadcast that. Single women seem very independent and secure to me while moving up the corporate ladder. I'm looking for that girl that wants me to take care of her. However, in today's society, she's very hard, if not impossible, to find. So obviously women are saying they want to be taken care of and they want, guys who are confident, but maybe they're not broadcasting that. So that brings the whole independent label on women, Miss Independent, which I have gotten my entire life. And so I thought I would bring Suzanne and Sarah in here to kind of weigh in on this. So ladies, you're both strong women. What has been your experience with this in the past?
Well, I think there's some confusion about the appearance of security and how a woman actually feels. And so, guys may be looking at a woman and saying, oh, she's got a great job, she's got a house, she's, got this and that. So obviously she's not looking for security. But I think it's a basic emotional need for women to feel secure. And that might not, in this day and age, necessarily include their physical needs so much as their emotional needs. So when Kevin and I were in premarital counseling, our pastor said, you need to imagine that you each have an S on your chest, like Superman. And he said his S is significance. He wants a woman to make him feel important and significant and like he has something to offer. And yours is security. And that is, you want to know that he's never going to leave you, that you are the world to him, that you are secure in your relationship with him. So when I think about a woman wanting security, that's kind of what I think about.
Yeah, which is kind of unique because, again, as we've talked about on previous podcasts, you're older than Kevin, you kind of had been in your career longer than he had, so you probably did have to sit down and flesh out, what that looks like. It's not about you being an editor of a magazine or you being, strong-minded or a writer or whatever.
Yeah. And I asked him this morning, thinking about this topic, is that a turnoff to you that I had a good job and I owned a house and all of that? And he said he really didn't even consider that because he knew from talking to me that he had something to offer me.
Okay, well, here is a question, and Suzanne is going to help me tackle it. So, because it's from a girl, kind of for the girls, but we'll see what we have here. So she says, I know we are told that men want to marry women that carry themselves with class and respect, but I know a lot of good men who right now are engaged to or dating women who, let's say, carry themselves in a less than respectful manner. What troubles me is that these are the type of women or girls that get asked out all the time. Meanwhile, those of us that carry ourselves with class and respect get passed over. This is even happening in my church. How are we supposed to compete with females like this? What do men really want in a wife or girlfriend?
Show.